A chicken has been arrested attempting to cross a street in Dundee. Tayside police are appealing for information as to why the chicken crossed the road.
A Massachusetts man who spent 26 years growing the largest pumpkin in North America says it weighs as much as a walrus, but probably tastes like cardboard.
Two under-11 football teams from Guangzhou in China have been convicted of match fixing. The side that was losing 2-1 at half-time scored 24 goals in the second half, including a suspicious number of own goals.
And the headline of the week from the Wilts and Gloucestershire Standard. 79-year-old Cirencester man grows pineapple at his home against the odds.
All of which can mean only one thing. There's no such thing as the news.
To a brand new series of No Such Thing as the News, coming to you from up the creek in Greenwich, London. My name is Dan Schreiber, and I am sitting here with Anna Ptaszynski, Andrew Hunter-Murray, and James Harkin. Over the next 8 weeks, we're here to present to you the most interesting stories we found in the news of the last 7 days. And in no particular order, here we go. Starting with my fact. My fact this week is that 3 days before his second debate with Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump announced that he was doing no preparation. He announced this at a town hall event where there was a moderator, all the questions were submitted by the audience, and his answers were timed to be no longer than 2 minutes. So,
Not even revising for the exam.
But I can see why he was saying that this wasn't preparation at the same time, because in a way, he kind of just, it was a friendly crowd. It was moderated by someone who was a fan of his.
It's true, the questions weren't exactly kind of what he might expect in the actual debate, were they?
No.
Because questions were like, what would you say to convince Hispanics who are deceived by Obama, Clinton, and the biased media to vote for you? And what's your favourite childhood memory? Go, Donald!
That's the best thing. The moderator read that, and it ends with, "Go, Donald!" Like, that's in the question.
Donald Trump didn't have a childhood.
I don't know. He is a child. So Jane Goodall said this week, the primatologist and anthropologist, that the way he's risen to the top is exactly like how chimps rise to the top of their hierarchies, as in they impress each other by doing lots of stamping around on the ground, lots of throwing rocks about, lots of making screechy noises, and that convinces people around them that they're the dominant one, and that means they rise to the top of the hierarchy fastest and they stay there the longest.
But that's really interesting, because didn't Nigel Farage also say that he was like a male silverback gorilla?
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
An animal with a 3-centimetre penis.
But with hands that small, it looks fine.
So during the debate, according to Merriam-Webster, the dictionary company, the top searched for word was Lepo, L-E-P-O, as in, what is Aleppo?
No.
It's true. Also, bigly, demagogic, and petulant.
So the Wall Street Journal looked at the response around the world, and they looked at the response from China online and what people were saying about the debate, and it was basically a lot of people saying, I'm glad that we don't have this kind of democracy where we have to actually choose. One person commenting said the choice was like that between mouldy bread and expired sausage.
So there was a lot of coverage this week about the handshake gate at the start of this debate, right? Because at the start of the first debate, him and Hillary shook hands, and at the start of this debate, they didn't, although they did at the end. But I didn't realise that that might be because Donald Trump has a morbid fear of shaking hands. So he thinks it's completely barbaric. He's written in books that he's written that it's one of the curses of American society, a terrible practice, and one of the worst disadvantages of being famous, because you have to do it so often, because he's a germaphobe, so he's repulsed by it.
Wow. Although he has said on tape that you get to do other things with your hands.
So I was looking into handshakes because I thought, again, if Trump makes it in and he hates handshakes, this is a big part of the life of a president. You do handshakes. And I discovered that once you become president, you inherit a new handshake. Yeah. It's a secret handshake, right? And what it is that all presidents have a thing called a challenge coin, which is this little coin, and lots of people in the military have it as well. And when they decide that they're going to give someone their coin, they put it in the palm of their hand, very secretively, and then they shake the hands and they hand over a free coin. Have a look at that. That's the presidential coin. And Obama keeps them in his pocket, and it's to people...
That guy behind him has no idea, does he?
How is that staying upright? He must be coming in at that with such speed that the G-force is keeping it stuck to his hand.
Well, the first time Obama did it, he actually dropped the coin. And so, because photographers desperately try to capture a challenge coin being handed over. Military do it, the CIA do it, Secret Service do it, and the president, well, it's kind of like collecting Pokemon. It's the most... If you get the president one, that's getting the ultimate.
Wow. So before the debate happened this week, there had to be a practice debate to make sure that all the tech stuff was working okay. So this happened at Washington University, and stand-ins were recruited from the university to come and be Trump and Clinton, and they were selected because they were the same size as them, roughly. And they had to come up with what topics they were going to debate because they had to be on the stage for hours. And so the topics they went for to debate were subjects that they knew about. So they debated Snapchat versus Instagram. They debated who likes Dora the Explorer more. And they debated who's going to end up on the Iron Throne at the end of Game of Thrones.
This is nicer than a lot of the stuff we had on Sunday night.
But these guys, what is on their chairs?
I reckon it must be to keep the germs off for when Donald comes.
So is that just for Donald? Then why isn't it just on Donald's chair?
It's also inaccurate because if they were doing this like the proper debate, the guy playing Donald would be standing about 2 feet behind Clinton, sort of looking over her shoulder like that.
Well, they did say on their website, on the Washington University website, these two people who took part said that all the tech guys said, can you please pace up and down a lot? And you, the Donald character, can you interrupt her quite loudly? Because we need it to be a realistic representation of what's going to happen so we can test all the equipment enough.
So, well, this is an interesting thing. So between the first and the second debate, the amount that Trump interrupted Clinton dropped by 72%. Because he interrupted her only 15 times as opposed to 55. Although it's really interesting because the figures, loads of people have tried to measure it, and it's very hard to measure what is an interruption if someone.
I don't think it's hard, Andy.
Oh. No, but I've
You must have known that was going to happen.
But I've maintained.
Time for
control.
Andy, finish your sentence off. Everyone wants to hear it.
No, that's you've got it. You've got it.
OK, we should move on to our next fact. It is time for fact number 2, and that is James Harkin.
OK, my fact this week is that the hip-hop duo Insane Clown Posse has just issued a statement to say there's no such thing as an insane clown.
So this is about all those insane clowns who've been wandering the streets across the world, right?
So this is a report on their Facebook page that said one reporter had asked them if all these crazy clowns that have been going around in this last week were a promotional thing for Insane Clown Posse. And they said, needless to say, we shut his ass down very quickly. There are no killer clowns. It's just jackasses being jackasses. So everyone relax.
God, I say ride the PR wave, guys.
And then one of their members, Violent J, he wrote an article for Time saying that the real clowns are the police, the racists, big government, like the NSA and all those people.
Professional clowns are suffering hugely, so they've made a lot of statements about this. For example, Randy Christensen, who is the... He's the president of the World Clown Association. But he pointed out, if someone dresses like a doctor and is in a doctor's smock and is wearing a stethoscope and is in a haunted house and comes at you with a chainsaw, he is not really a doctor.
So obviously it's been front page news on so many newspapers, and so many sightings are happening where we're seeing people dressed as clowns. Footage is emerging of people.
Dan reads a particular kind of newspaper.
Yeah, I read weekly. But yeah, so they're being spotted everywhere, and actually there's now even an app that you can get. I've only seen it online, but it's a clown tracker where you're able... Yeah, it's where sightings have been. This is it here. You can spot where all the clowns have been.
Wow.
And as of me taking that screen grab, there was just over 60 clown sightings.
They're just weirdos who've got, you know, got a bit of slap and got a mask or something.
And also, they're not necessarily sightings. So I think in the US, more people are being arrested for reporting fake clown sightings than fake clowns that are being arrested. Yeah. It's a complete hoax most of the time, most of the calls that are made. Yeah, it's really irritating the police.
So this whole, this fact was about a band who dress as clowns, doing a statement about clowns. And I thought, what other bands do I know where there are people who dress like clowns? So one of the members of Slipknot is a guy called Clown, or they call him Clown, and he has a really, really scary clown mask. And so I emailed Corey Taylor, who is the lead singer of Slipknot, and he gave me a statement on this. He said, the effects have been such that even our dear Clown has downgraded himself to mime. In order to distance himself from these hedonistic doppelgangers until the coast is clear. Remember, a real clown doesn't need a knife to intimidate, just a bat and a good cold stare.
Today, I was looking on a website. I thought, OK, clown hatred is out there. And I found a website called IHateClowns.com. They've been going since 1996. And the whole website is just dedicated to hatred towards clowns. In fact, there's an article on it that lists 34 reasons to hate clowns. So I've picked out a few. Number 1 on the list, a clown wrote the original music and lyrics to, you guessed it, Macarena. They rhyme with frowns. They have big feet. And then way down on the list, but I think most important, a clown stole my dad's job.
So another clown job out there is being an evil clown, actually. So I don't think this is helping their PR at the moment either, but you can hire evil clowns to stalk your children. Yeah, I didn't realise this. There are these awesome guys. So there's someone called Wrinkles who did an interview with The Independent a short while ago who said, when I was a kid, it was OK to scare children, and now they're all whiny and scared. And one mother hired him to stand at a bus stop and stare at her 12-year-old son until he started crying in front of his friends and ran home.
So that child who got chased, who saw Wrinkles on the other side of the bus stop and ran home, his mother then had a quote saying something along the lines of, it's really great, because any time now that he's really naughty, I just go, oh, OK, Wrinkles is coming. And then he does whatever she wants.
Wow.
There is one bit of good news that if you are one of the people who are freaking out about the clowns everywhere right now, and you suffer generally from the fear of clowns, you can actually have that solved by a particular circus in the UK, and they offer counselling, where they get you through your troubles with clowns. So yeah, counselling is out there if you need it. OK, so we're halfway through the show, and it's time to look at the stories that you've sent in to us via emails and social media. James, what do you got?
OK, this was emailed by Connor Hale, and he got it from 9 News. A Japanese artificial intelligence program, which was designed with the personality of a teenage girl, has fallen into depression. Its last post a few days ago said, I hate everyone. I don't care if they all disappear. I want to disappear.
That's not depression, that's throwing a strop, and she can go to her room for the rest of the evening.
OK, Anna, what have you got?
I've got this that was sent in from Eugene Boisfert on Twitter, and it's from Adelaide Now, and it's the news that Australia's only flamingo, the 74-year-old Chili, who lives at Adelaide Zoo, is turning orange after a change of diet. The zoo can no longer source enough shrimp, so he's been given a broth of pupae, mealworms, and carrots.
Australia has one flamingo.
One flamingo, and it's a pensioner. Unbelievable.
That's incredible.
I know.
Whoa. OK, and lastly, Andy.
This was sent in by Gemma Brown. It's from a Nigerian news publication, and it is that a Nigerian public health physician has warned people that treating an eye infection by putting urine in your eyes can cause blindness. And Gemma, who sent this in, said, along with the fact, I actually am blind, but it wasn't caused by me putting urine in my eyes. So, there we go.
Amazing, yeah, and continue to send us more of your tweets and Facebook messages and emails as our series goes on. OK, we should move on to our third fact of the show, and that is Andrew Hunter Murray.
My fact is that this week, 4 separate pumpkin records have been broken. This is the real story of this week's news, guys. So it's October, which means that now is when we have pumpkins. Yeah. And one thing that goes with that is you have a load of competitions happening all around the world. And the records are tumbling like ninepins at the moment. So we have had, in the last week alone, separate records broken for biggest outdoors grown pumpkin in the UK, biggest pumpkin ever in America, biggest pumpkin ever in the world, and the furthest someone's travelled in a boat made out of a pumpkin. Huge news.
Why do they turn these pumpkins into boats?
Bizarre.
You've got to do something with it.
Can you not eat them, or...?
Often they taste quite bland because they've grown so huge.
What's amazing about them is, yes, they may not taste good, so that's not the reason for making them. It's the fact that as they get bigger, more and more people want to make a bigger pumpkin, and so the seeds of the pumpkin are what are worth huge amounts of money. How much is a single seed again?
So the one that grew, the outdoor British one, that was grown from a seed that cost £1,250. Yeah! And but the seeds from this pumpkin that he's grown, you'll be able to get 2 for a tenner.
£10 can buy you 2, because I thought the pound had plummeted, so that's incredible.
Way over a ton. Like, these are massive, these pumpkins, and no one thought we'd get to a ton, and that was achieved only, what, 5-6 years ago?
I never dared to dream.
No one thought.
They did work out the maximum that a pumpkin can possibly get to.
Did they?
Yeah, they put a pumpkin into a vice and they kind of squeeze it to work out how much water you can get into it, and they reckon the maximum you can get is about the size of 2 elephants.
I actually read a different report, which is they've worked out that, in theory, because they're trying to find out what maximum pumpkinmus is, like what
Sorry, don't slow down. Your science is blinding me.
The problem with growing pumpkins on Earth is gravity. And gravity is what stops it from being able to go beyond a certain size. In theory, and this is my own deduction, you could grow a pumpkin the size of a planet.
Right.
We could be living in a pumpkin universe. That's what I'm saying.
How's that blinded by science condition you were suffering earlier?
Just to quickly deal with the pumpkin as canoe record that has been broken. So this was in Washington State, and it was a woman called Charity Marshall who went 15 miles in a boat made out of a pumpkin.
Oh, my God.
I know, the previous record was 8 miles, so this is, again, huge news.
How long until we can... It's only, what, 23 miles from Dover to Calais? How long until we can get to the continent? What I'm saying is, by the time Brexit happens, can I get out of here in the
I think we've got one more picture, actually, which is of the pumpkin grown by a pair of twins, Stuart and Ian Payton. And Stuart said, some days we'll spend 5 hours working on them. We never get bored or fed up with them, believe it or not. And I do not.
Can I tell you something about the Patton brothers? So they've been growing pumpkins since they were 11. And in 2004, Ian Patton won the 30-year-old pumpkin contest between Everton and Milton-on-Sea. And he broke the British record, and he required the army to come and deliver his pumpkin on trucks. And Everton got very angry about that and accused him of cheating and feeding his pumpkins Viagra.
Which he totally denies, by the way.
So in the end, everyone pulled out and the whole thing was cancelled. This weirdo turns up with a pumpkin on an army truck.
You would think the army had better things to do in 2004.
Looking into how people grow these pumpkins, it's amazing because they do take so much care of it. So I've seen lots of photos of these massive pumpkins. They cover them in blankets. So they just make sure that they're nice and warm. They feed them. So not only do they put water on them, they put milk on them because for nutrients, they want to give them more milk. They sing to them. They talk to them. It's a very caring process.
Pumpkins can't milk creatures in the wild, so it feels like they don't naturally want milk.
You don't get Viagra in the wild either. But some people want it. For whatever reason.
We need to wrap up really shortly.
Okay.
Do you guys have anything?
Can I actually show you my record-breaking big thing of the week?
Yes, please.
This is this is the world's biggest swing, and this was swung on this week, and this was created by Red Bull, and I think we've got video footage of it. Skydivers jumped from a hot air balloon.
What?
And there was a swing attached to it.
Whoa!
It had a rope 125 meters long. The two balloons had to be exactly the right distance apart. Otherwise, they would have broken their bodies. But yeah, they created the biggest swing ever, and they swung 125 meters down. They were 1,800 meters above the ground, and then they hurled themselves off the swing at the last minute.
Wow,
Isn't that the funnest thing?
Amazing.
Okay, let's move on to our final fact of the show, and that is Anna.
My fact is that no one will be allowed to wear a smartwatch at Theresa May's cabinet meeting this week for fear the Russians will use it to eavesdrop. That's an actual fear. Wow. So this week is her first cabinet meeting following conference season, and she said no Apple Watches allowed, and smartphones, or no smartwatches allowed. And smartphones have been banned in cabinet meetings for a few years now for the same reason. In fact, people in Parliament who are going to sensitive meetings where certain things might be being discussed have been given lead-lined soundproof boxes that they have to put their phones in before they discuss these things and before they go into these meetings.
Didn't Edward Snowden, whenever he had a meeting where he was discussing the leaks, he would make everyone put their phone in a refrigerator?
But Edward Snowden is pro-leaking, right?
Oh, yeah.
Someone said that David Cameron banned mobile phones in cabinet, which he did. But then he relented in 2015, and they were about to have a really important, sensitive briefing about cybersecurity. And he said, OK, I know I've banned phones, but if anyone here did, by mistake, bring a phone into the room, can you please get up and leave it outside, because we're going to have this briefing. 12 ministers around the table got up. Some of them had 2 phones on them. No. Potentially allowing the Russians and the Chinese to spy on us.
Didn't he also have a situation where, with smart watches, it was a smartwatch, Michael Gove during a meeting?
He accidentally pressed the wrong button on his watch and it started playing Beyonce.
Yeah.
She does say a lot about betrayal, doesn't she?
Oh.
Boris with the good hair. Yes.
That was quite funny, that incident, because that happened in this cabinet meeting, and Cameron was apparently really angry with Michael Gove that this had happened. And so
imagine if he'd known what was going to happen in just a few months' time. He'd have been so much calmer about the whole thing.
Didn't they ban Furbies for a while back in the time when I was younger?
They did, didn't they?
I think they banned them from government offices and stuff because they could record things and.
Yes.
And also because it's a government office and you shouldn't have a Furby. Furby in a government office.
But
David Cameron had an amnesty on Furbies. And 12 ministers got up.
Michael Gove had 7.
So on the hacking thing still. So this week, Yahoo have patented a smart billboard which they want to collect people's information and then use it to broadcast adverts to them in real time, which are targeted as they're, for example, driving along the road.
Oh, that can't possibly go wrong from a company who's had 1 billion emails hacked.
No, but also you might not want all your adverts that are targeted to you to be shown, on a billboard. My penis is fine, actually.
There was a thing in Jakarta this week where someone was arrested for hacking a billboard and putting pornography on it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
And he didn't even lie about it. He was like, I was bored, I wanted to watch porn. And they had, because they had on the billboard, it wasn't like a proper hack, they had the login details. We need to move on in a second.
Okay. Just one other thing on phones. This week they've permanently discontinued the Samsung Galaxy Note 7 after it kept exploding. And there's a Guardian Q&A, and the question is, do I need to hand back my Samsung phone? And the answer is, only if it's a Galaxy Note 7. You can tell if it's a Galaxy Note 7 because it says on the back of the phone, Galaxy Note 7.
Did the person reply, what if I can't read the back of the phone because it's on fire? So New Scientist did a piece this week on hacking, and it was warning about the dangers of toy hacking because Christmas toys have started being advertised and smart toys are a thing, which I didn't know about because I'm 30, so I don't get them for Christmas anymore. But so apparently last year Barbie released a toy that had a thing where a child would press it and talk into it, and a microphone would pick it up and transmit it to Mattel, who run Barbie, and then they'd recognise the speech, and they had an algorithm which worked out the appropriate response to whatever it was the child was saying. And the warning by New Scientist is that this can be hacked, and people could listen into that.
The warning from me would be that is creepy as hell.
Yeah, I know. I do think that I don't know how high on the hackers' priority list the whinings of a 5-year-old are.
Please, get them while they're young. That's a propaganda coup. A whole generation of children will grow up.
No, but they're not. It's about listening in. I don't think they're going to be saying anything particularly revealing.
But can't you say things back out of the Barbie, like capitalism is a sham?
And also, can't you kind of blackmail them, like when they're older, and say, you shit yourself when you were 4?
I don't think they have that kind of advanced sound recognition. There was actually a 5-star review of one of these toys which defended it, saying, Hello Barbie, which is what it was called, is just as risky as Siri, and I've told Siri some pretty odd things. Very lonely person out there.
OK, we should wrap up, guys. OK, that's it. That's all of our facts. Just time to share with you some of the stories that we didn't have time to get to during the show. And we're going to start with James.
OK, an emergency vehicle in Sweden sent to deal with a cow killed in a collision with a car failed to reach its destination after colliding with another 37 cows.
OK, Andy, what have you got?
This is from the BBC, and it's that an Italian mafia boss who was on the run from police for 5 years was finally caught after 50 police searched his home and found him hiding between his bedroom and his bathroom. It's this little secret compartment just between the two.
And finally, Anna.
This is from the Danish edition of the local newspaper, and it is that Danish medical experts have confirmed that grunting while you defecate doesn't help the process and may even hinder it.
OK, that's all from me, Andy, James and Anna. We'll be back again next week. We've been No Such Thing as the News. Goodbye.
No Such Thing as the News will be back next week at the same time.
And if you agree with Dan Schreiber that the universe is a giant pumpkin, seek professional help immediately. Good night.
Bye-bye.